Hi everyone, this is Jeanette, and in this video I would like to share a bit more of my relationship to self-forgiveness, and especially when it comes to walking self-forgiveness of things that you honestly really feel that you can't forgive yourself for. This mainly in line with where, there's sometimes, behavioral patterns and habits, especially when it comes to addictions, that are exceptionally hard to break and to change. And every now and then you find yourself, giving up and giving into them. So with facing in my life, since walking process, a couple of those, coming through in various ways. Sometimes it was an addiction to type of thinking pattern or reaction pattern where it's like I just felt like it was a wrestle, a struggle, a fight within myself constantly and continuously to change it. Other times it, for example, had something to do with, let's say, a sweets, sugar addiction, which I knew had gone out of control, and I could see the consequences and compromises and effects on my mind and body. But, that addiction is like, it was challenging to walk through and give up, or at least, get to a point of moderating sugar intake. So, you can have a look for yourself. The reference or definition of addiction is, something that with awareness that you're doing that's compromising you or your relationship with another person or something somehow in your life. And it, you see it, you feel it, you experience it. But at the same time, it feels like it's the most challenging and difficult thing to change, to give up, to let go, or just moderate. So here I found myself in an interesting tango, if you will, a tango of sorts, because at the same time as you really want to and you really have to change something, it is equally as difficult and challenging and almost sometimes feeling as though it's impossible. And when you start that journey and that process of change, you go through your ups and your downs, meaning you have breakthroughs where for some time you're managing to change it, and then something happens and you fall, and then you fall for a while, and then you get up again, and you find other ways to strengthen your resolve, to see it through, to stand through it, to change. But then something else happens and you fall again, so it's that initial phase where it really feels like you're trying to get out of and from sink sand, that the addiction is the sink sand in itself, and the more you're trying to move and get out of it and struggle out of it, it's like you're taking one step forward and 10 steps back. So when I got into those phases of changing and transcending an addiction, one of the most profound things that I'd faced and gone through within myself was judgment. It was, in my process in relation to this, I had this personality inside of me, perfectionism personality, and I could feel and experience inside myself that I could change this addiction, I could transcend it, I could break through it. I knew I had it in me, but my application in reality showed the opposite. And then what I would do is, other people would ask me, hey, how's it going? How's it going in working through and getting through, this particular addiction or, behavioral or thinking or reaction habit? And then I would just put on the smile and, say, hey, it's going great, I'm making it through. But that was speaking and giving feedback was more my perfectionist personality coming through, speaking the ideal of how I would have preferred and liked me to have walked through this addiction, but it wasn't the reality. And, soon enough, with being dishonest with others in my life, and within that being self-dishonest with me, I actually made it a lot more tough on myself, and I lost quite a bit of moments and realizations and insights, really, because now what I was doing was I was essentially lying and deceiving not only to others but to myself the most, because I wasn't handling it. I wasn't doing well. I was struggling. It was really difficult and intense. And then, the more I try and, keep up with the idea that I can do better, that I can be better, the more I was falling back into the patterns and then trying to stand up and then falling back. So I was constantly and continuously in this tango, and that in itself made self-forgiveness so much more challenging for me as well, because it's like I knew, what can I forgive myself for here? Because it's like I know what I'm doing and accepting and allowing, and I'm just not changing. So, then I would stop doing forgiveness, and I would just kind of be stuck in this tango between myself and my ideal self and the addiction that was still taking over. And until I realized one important thing, that I have to be brutally honest with myself, meaning that I can't have this perfectionist idea of myself, of how I know I can be or how I feel I can be, so much more and so much better. I have to look at what my reality is saying about me. And so I stood back and came to terms with the fact that I'm not perfect. I'm not this ideal self. Look, yes, I can become it. I do see the potential of me becoming more, becoming better, becoming, to a certain degree, perfect in the sense of being able to change things and transcend things. But I'm most certainly not there now. I have to be real with myself. So then I sat back and I was like, okay, what am I struggling with? What is it about this addiction or this experience that's, making me fall, stand up. And, that started getting me into the detail of, what in my mind and my emotions was still contributing to me falling into the addiction patterns over and over and over again. And what was difficult but liberating was when someone asked me how was it going, to be honest, tell them, look, honestly, it's still going up and down, but I have investigated these down, the falling, what's going on within them, and this is how I'm changing them, and by doing that, it actually strengthened me and prepared me a lot more to be able to stand through and break through addictions, and being able to stand by my self-forgiveness, because I am supporting myself through self-honesty, through an addiction. That being self-honest allowed me to self-honestly do forgiveness for, what I could see was contributing to my constant, continuous falling into addictive patterns. And so slowly but surely over time, I gave myself that space and time to eventually break through and transcend an addiction. All right, so have a look at this for yourself. And, if self-forgiveness is ever difficult for you to do, what this may signify is that you're somewhere not self-honest about what you're going through. You're not real enough with yourself. All right, thank you very much.